Here is the agenda for tonight. As you'll notice, we do only have 15 minutes. We found out today that when we set up this meeting, there was a problem linking it to the city's enterprise WebEx account, hence the 50-minute stop. With that said, if city staff can introduce themselves and we will get going.
Hi, everybody. My name is Nick Dula with the City of Raleigh.
I'm Will Hardy with the City of Raleigh.
And I am Jackie Jordan, also part of the City of Raleigh team. I want to reiterate the purpose of this meeting this evening, and once again, thanks for everyone joining and participating. It is to receive input on the city's annual action plan draft for the expenditure of federal housing and community development funds. And this is for the city's fiscal year, which begins July 1st, 2022, and it will end June 30th, 2023. We also encourage you to engage with the chat feature as the team will share the information with you with the PowerPoint presentation that will begin in just a few short minutes. Once again, we want you to also be mindful and respectful of everyone's time, and we want to ask you to hold off on any type of comments, but you can use the hand raising feature so that we can acknowledge you, and when the time permits, we will also engage in conversation. So thanks once again for joining, everyone.
So the annual action plan is the city's application to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, otherwise known as HUD, for our annual entitlement funding. It is also the framework for the annual strategic and production goals. It directly aligns with the city's 5-year consolidated plan, which is from 2021 to 2025. The FY 22-23 AAP is the 3rd year of implementation of the current comp plan. The timeline, there was a public hearing back in December, the first one. We are currently in the 30-day comment period, and the second public hearing was authorized by council at today's meeting for April 5th. And the city council adoption of an annual action plan and submission to HUD will happen in May. The opportunities for citizen participation on the plan, it's guided by our citizen participation plan. The draft is on the web for review and available upon request in paper copies. There's, as I mentioned, the 30-day comment period, which we're in the middle of. All public comments received will be included in the final plan. There will be 3 public meetings for citizen input, of which this is the first. The next one will be Thursday at Method Road Community Center and next Tuesday at Chavis Community Center, and the public hearings I mentioned. We also encourage everyone to send any comments to the cd.info@raleighnc.gov email address. And the 21-25 comp plan goals and priorities, the 3 are increase the supply of affordable housing, increase services to build self-sufficiency and sustainability, and enhance the homeless to housing continuum. This includes programs serving low and moderate income residents through 4 things: home ownership, affordable rental housing development, homeless services, and public services and public facility improvements. There are 5-year geographic priorities also in the consolidated plan, and that includes the College Park area, the downtown neighborhoods, and citywide.
All right. This next slide shows how the city plans to spend its 3 federal funding sources. That would be home, CDBG Community Development Block Grants, ESG Emergency Solutions Grants, as well as local fundings over the next year. As you'll notice, there is a substantial increase in local funding due in part to the recently passed housing bond that passed recently. For affordable housing, which includes the creation and preservation of affordable rental housing, down payment and homeowner rehabilitation to low and moderate income Raleigh residents, the city anticipates spending almost $32 million in home, CDBG, and local funds. For the homeless housing continuum, the city anticipates spending approximately $472,000, mainly in ESG and CDBG. These funds will be in the form of grants to nonprofits who will be administering direct services to those experiencing homelessness. This includes the South Wilmington Street Men's Shelter, the White Flag Emergency Shelter, as well as support for rapid rehousing, emergency shelter, and HMIS administration. The city also anticipates spending $518,000 on self-sufficiency and sustainability, which includes $230,000 in community enhancement public services grants, which will go to nonprofits who will be providing public services to low and moderate income Raleigh residents, funding for home buyer counseling, economic development, fair housing, and public works. The city will also be using a portion of home, CDBG, and local funds to administer these programs. In addition to what was just displayed on the previous slide, the city received or will be receiving $5.248 million in home ARP funds as part of the American Rescue Program. These funds can be used to assist individuals or households who are homeless, at risk of homelessness, and other vulnerable populations by providing housing, supportive services, and non-congregate shelter to reduce homelessness and increase housing stability across the area. In order for the city to access these funds, we are required to submit a home ARP allocation plan, which we'll be working on in the coming weeks. So there will also be additional opportunities for Raleigh residents to provide input on how these funds should be spent in the coming months. Finally, the next steps, as Will mentioned earlier, any written public comments on the draft annual action plan will be included in the action plan, and you are welcome to submit them through April 1st. You can do so via email, which is cd.info@raleighnc.gov, or you can mail them, the address listed on the slide, or deliver them to our offices. There will be a public hearing on the draft annual action plan on April 5th. We will put the link in the chat box for that if anyone is interested in speaking during the public hearing. At the city council meeting, you will have to sign up to speak. Council will then vote to adopt the plan on May 3rd, and it will be submitted to HUD on May 15th. With that said, we will now open it up to any comments, questions anyone has. And if you have any comments or questions, you can raise your hand or put it in the chat feature. We'll give folks just a minute in case they're thinking of any questions. Looks like Diane unmuted. Do you have a question, Diane, or a comment?
No, it took me a minute to get in and figure it out. I'm okay. Mm-mm.
Okay, if you could please mute yourself then. We'll stick around for a couple more minutes in case anyone has any feedback they would like to give us.
Hi, I think that was John speaking. Is that correct?
Yes.
I have a question for you. A couple questions. One, will this presentation be made available online?
Yes, we can post it online.
Okay. And then second question, regarding the funds disbursement to nonprofits. How can nonprofits, is there a list, or is there a targeted list, or is there a way for nonprofits to sign up in order to receive some of that funding?
Great question. When the city will typically does requests for proposals for our CDBG and ESG funds, and we advertise when those RFPs are put out. We typically advertise that on the city's website as well as through Gov Delivery, and I can put the link, or if you put your email in the chat, I can send you an email on what the link is to sign up for Gov Delivery, so you would get notice on any funding opportunities.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions?
Hi, this is Randy Gordon. I just looked quickly at the summary, and I was just interested to see the very low numbers of affordable housing. So 17 new units for homeowners and 25 assistance to home buyers. Is that what other cities our size are doing? That is an incredibly small number based on the number of residents in the city of Raleigh.
That is a good
Hi,
question.
hi, Randy. Thank you for the question. Those estimates are really based on the demand right now, than it is the funding availability. For example, the home buyer assistance program has seen a decrease as interest rates have gone up and the market's gotten a little more heated. So that program has seen a decrease in interest from the public. And then some of the other numbers as well, the homeowner rehabilitation, the problem isn't as much finding the funding, it's finding contractors who are actually available to take on these types of projects. So it's not necessarily that the city isn't putting the resources towards increasing those numbers. It's that there are other reasons beyond our control that are limiting them.
Will, this is Mark Perlman, and I'd like to follow up on that briefly. Thank you for that summary, and again, thank you for that question. I think what Will was emphasizing is that those numbers are really focused on a small subset of our programs that are more directly focused on homeowner and home buyer assistance. We have an overall production goal of at least 570 units across our creating new homeownership opportunities by constructing new affordable home ownership opportunities. The majority of our affordable housing construction comes in the form of gap financing that goes to support affordable rental units. And so we are on track to meet that goal. So I definitely understand why those numbers seem low and seem concerning, but that is, again, a very small subset of our programs, and Will is absolutely correct. HUD imposes a limit on the purchase price, for example, for our homebuyer assistance program, and that limit is well below the market average. So it has been a very significant challenge for first-time home buyers, especially low and moderate income home buyers, to find homes in this market. We're still generating production. We're still originating second mortgages, but we're taking a look at the program to see how we can adapt it for this new market. So those numbers are really meant to set some more realistic expectations for the realities of the market we are currently in.
Thank you for that. I was just wondering that what you were mentioning about the 500 homes, where is that in the summary, or where is that in the plan?
I believe it appears elsewhere in the plan. It may be more directly referenced under, I think there's specifically a rental production section.
Okay, thank you.
I know I supplied that number up, but yes, that is the city's goal for overall production.
Thank you.
And this is Bob Leaker. We're sharing a computer. I am interested to know how the city staff establishes priorities for housing support. I mean, realizing, the intent to try and reach as many households as possible, either through rental or housing upfits or new home purchasing or gap financing. How do you select those targets, and how can they be most readily expanded?
As Will mentioned earlier, this action plan is the third year implementation of the 5-year consolidated plan. So the overall goals for the 5 years were established as part of that process back in, I'm trying to remember now. It was, I believe, December 2020. And then, adjustments are made each year to the action plan. We talked a little bit about some of the challenges that we have in our market right now. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
No, I'm trying to get at how you can vastly expand the reach of the program, what your best estimates are how to do that, whether it's through rental assistance or, gap financing for new homes. But we know the need is very significant. So I'm just curious to know, if you could vastly expand the program, how would you do it so it could reach down, especially at the lower income levels, at the 40% AMI or maybe a little lower?
Mark, would you like to help with this one as well, please?
That is a good question. A lot of our, and one thing I did want to clarify is that the overall production goal that I referenced earlier, that is across funding sources, and this annual action plan again speaks specifically to goals for our federal grants. And so again, because it's a specific subset of funding and a specific subset of our programs, some of the numbers may seem low relative to the overall needs of the community. And looking at expanding the reach of the program, so one thing that we have done, for example, council directed us to require that 10% of all units in rental developments that we fund are set aside at 30% of the median income. So we are looking at ways to expand the reach and really target very low income households. It is challenging to strike a balance between, we want to spread our dollars as far as possible, I think, as you alluded to, and so trying to find a balance so that we can produce as many units as possible and assist as many people as possible while serving lower income households. And it is generally just kind of a funding question with unlimited resources. I think we'd like to target as much or as deep affordability as we possibly could, but resources are limited, and so we have to kind of thread that needle.
Thank you, Mark.
Anyone have any other questions? I did want to reference to Sai. We did put the link in the chat where you can go to sign up for the Community and Economic Development Gov Delivery email listserv, which is how we advertise all of our RFP opportunities or other funding opportunities for nonprofits to apply. And finally, I want to thank everyone for listening in, making time tonight to hear about the work we're doing. That was a very good point. We're well aware that there is a significant need for more affordable housing in the area, and definitely want to encourage anyone with any comments to please feel free to email them at cd.info@raleighNC.gov, and we will respond to all of them.
And
If
Randy,
no one has any,
sorry, I just wanted to follow up on one of the questions earlier. Randy, the question about where in the action plan is the 570 or the 5,700 mentioned, and that is near the top of page 39, as well as our other documents, including the consolidated plan.
Thank you. I guess as a lay person trying to become more engaged, it's this process you as professionals know is very complex. I'm a health educator by training, and we always try to make things health literate. If it's possible to make planning information literate for lay people, that would be greatly appreciated. Just as I know it's probably a big challenge, but it would be something that would make it easier for people to comment. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks for that feedback. I can follow up on that. One of our goals is we do have a communications person on our staff now, and we're working on pulling together a more user-friendly summary of what we're doing here. The format of the annual action plan is somewhat conscripted by HUD. So like to your point, it's not, really light reading for the layperson, but appreciate the feedback. Well, thank you all again. As Will mentioned, we will be having an in-person meeting at Method Road on Thursday at 6 p.m. Registration opens at 5:30, and then next Tuesday at Chavis Community Center at 6 p.m. with registration opening at 5:30. And if anyone would like to speak at the City Council public hearing on April 5th, if you go to the city's main webpage, raleighNC.gov, you can sign up to speak there. And with that said, thanks to everyone for joining and hope you all have a good evening.
Thank you, staff. I appreciate it. Mark, thank you for those answers.
Yeah, no problem. No, great job presenting. One down, two to go. Good job.
Hey, thanks everybody. Mark, we might need to get some talking points, unless you're gonna be at these other meetings, but we'll get with you.
I'm definitely planning to be the one on Thursday, but I'm happy to kind of share some talking points. Yeah, just ping me whenever we can chat about it. Everybody go out and enjoy this this lovely evening.
Thank you. John, are the three of us going to be meeting again after this? You creating another meeting for us? Through Teams?
I'm jumping off. Bye, y'all.
All right, see you, Mark. I don't think we'll need one unless you have any feedback, Jackie or Nick.
What I want to say, I don't want to say it on this since it's recorded, so
Okay, gotcha.
possibly on our public website. But it's more about preparing for the next one, nothing negative.
Okay, I'll send out an invite for a Teams meeting here in a second.
Okay.
All right, thanks, and we'll see you on Teams, I guess.
Yes, okay.